Good morning and welcome to Voices of Tomorrow. That in today's session we are going to talk about local journalism and community engagement. Before that, I would like to say good morning and welcome to the speakers, Miss Swati and also Ibu Elin yang telah hadir pada pertemuan pada pagi hari ini. So without further ado, before we start the session, I'm going to give to Pak Sachin to give an opening.
Thank you very much, Dafa. Terima kasih and thank you to all the participants who are joining today. Selamat buat semua jurnalis yang hadir hari ini. I would like to in particularly thank Ms. Swati here. Are you here, Swati?
Yes, of course, I'm here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have been
Thank
really
you.
looking forward to doing this episode with you. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Okay, so we are actually having this session live with a certain number of participants. We have about 30 odd live participants, but we also have many participants who are joining because they are at assignment and they will be working. Therefore, they would be available on the offline session that we do. Totally, we reach more than 100 reporters and journalists, young people across the country. And the recorded session after this series is over would then be also sent to universities, journalism schools, etc. So that our plan is to reach more than 1,000 reporters and journalists over the next few months. So thank you very much once again, Swati, for joining us. I also want to welcome Elin, Kristanti. Terima kasih Ibu Elin untuk hadir hari ini. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Course,
fantastic.
yes.
Great to see you. And terima kasih untuk hadir. Thank you for joining us. Just a few notes for Swati that this is a bilingual session. Your session will be in English. And when Ibu Elin comes on, she would use a combination of using English as well as Bahasa, and all the participants have got an AI translator tool, so they can follow in either language. And when the recorded sessions go to the universities for the students, they would have subtitles, so there would be no issues about language being a barrier for the program. So first of all, I welcome both of you. You are the expert mentors for the session today. We've had many. In fact, this is the 10th class, which is supposedly the last class, but due to popular demand, we have been asked to create a few more episodes on certain topics that the participants asked us to do. So we may have 2 or 3 more episodes into December, and the program will close in December. In January, we go on to the university outreach. So you really are participating in helping us make the whole journalism sector much better, and helping students to and young journalists who are working in the newsrooms to be able to understand some of the best practices from around the world, as well as how to apply them in Indonesia and vice versa, because there is lots of great journalism going on in Indonesia, which also can be then exported out to other parts of the world where they can see how well developed Indonesian journalism and media industry is. So without much further ado, I would like to hand over back to Dafa so he can get the session started. And I look forward to really enjoying the session today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Sachin, for your opening. So I'm going to start this meeting with Miss Swati session. So before that, I'm going to read some of your brief introduction, Miss Swati. So, Miss Wati is a senior assistant editor at Anandabazar Patrika. She is an accomplished academic and journalism whose work at research focuses on poverty alleviation and gender justice. She was Fulbright Nehru Fellow at the Abdul Latif Jamil Poverty Action Lab, MIT, where she was mentored by Prof. Abhijit Vinayak Banerjee, and she even co-authored a book with him. Dr. Swati is also a founding member of a South Asian woman in media and received the Journalist of Courage and Impact Award in 2018. So I'm going to give it to you, Miss Swati. The time is yours.
Thank you. Am I audible? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Firstly, it's wonderful to see that a media training program is getting such good feedback, such good response from young journalists in Indonesia. This is really wonderful because I think that self-reflection on what we do as journalists, not just the stories that we write, but the questions as to why we write what we write. These are very important topics that we need to discuss among ourselves. So let me start a little bit by telling how I uh, became involved in community engagement after quite a long innings in journalism. So I have always written on poverty alleviation. That has been the focus of all my work. And so I have looked both at how market works for the poor people and also how what the government is doing for these people. So at the intersection, I have looked at things like microfinance for women entrepreneurs and agriculture, which of course in my state, West Bengal, over 90% are very small cultivators. I have looked at local governments. In India, we call them panchayats, which are actually elected local governments sanctioned by the Constitution of India. So what are they? They have they are in paper. They have tremendous power, but what are they actually doing for a better livelihood of rural people? These are things that I have studied in greater detail, and recently, in the last few years, I have focused on women labor. So most of the women in India, and I think this might be true for Indonesia also, they are in the informal sector. So their businesses are not always registered. And they do not always get the recognition of being a regular worker and the kind of social security. So I went into the field knowing that, but then I found that the kind of cheating of wages, I mean, the depth of deprivation is not easily understood. It's not just that you don't get the minimum wage or you are cheated of your pension or provident fund. You are harassed as a woman labor, you are harassed endlessly, both sexually and otherwise, and you are not given the dignity of labor. So all of this, when I started speaking to these women, I found that when they speak for them about their own life and livelihood, there is a kind of a rawness, the raw reality of their circumstances come out. And I decided that it is not enough for me to just write about them and for other people to read it through media, through my columns. They need to speak to people themselves. And so I got together with a few of my friends, and by we, I mean some NGOs and some trade unions. We came together to form a platform where we go to women in various kinds of working fields. So we have talked to farm labor, we have talked to fisher women, to jute mill workers, to tea garden workers, medical representatives, nurses. So all we have spoken to 35 fields of women, even garbage collectors, waste collectors. We are still speak, many we haven't touched yet, but at least 35 of them we have started with. And what we do is that we arrange listening circles where we invite these women as speakers, and as listeners there are professors, there are journalists, there are union leaders. So we put them all together and we sort of force people to listen to what these women have to say. And it is also important, we have realized, for these women to listen to each other across various work sectors, because they each are fighting in their own little silo. So they each think that their fight is unique and that they are specially deprived. But the fact is that gender and class, but poverty, but particularly gender plays a very important role in depriving women of their just wages uh, and human working conditions. So we are putting together these listening circles, and then we are transcribing the entire processes, which we distribute for free among journalists, among uh, social workers, and all who are interested. These are available for us. And as we have started engaging with them, they have also come up with their needs. So their needs for training. Right now, we are arranging a training for domestic workers union, and they want to start a YouTube channel for themselves. So we are trying to arrange that training. So this is the background from which I wish to talk today about the complexities of local journalism and community engagement. Now, first, I think that one of the questions which I have asked often, and I think that many of you are probably asking yourselves, is why do local journalism? You are a young journalist, you are coming to work, you want to do well for yourself. You want to see your byline in the first page, or if you are in TV, you want to be the first, you want to lead. So in that situation, you know that a local report on the problems of poorer people, marginal communities, that is going to be tucked somewhere in page 6 or 7, if at all. It's a tougher job. Why would you want to do it? So, is there anyone? I would like to make this interactive if possible. So, if would anybody like to respond?
Thank you so much, Ms. Wati. So for all the participant, if you have a question or if you want to respond to Ms. Wati, you can say or you can type on the column chat, so we can do this meeting interactively.
Why do local journalism?
Yeah, why do local journalists? Why is it why is it so important? So yeah, as a journalist, especially in today's era, which everyone can use their phone or can use their social media to make a report or just make a news of something that they see. Yeah, why probably if there is a response from the participant here, you can type on the chat.
If not, I can just go ahead and share
Yeah,
my ideas. Should I do
yeah.
that?
Sure, Ness. No problem.
Okay, okay. So if anything comes, you can just interrupt me and tell me.
Okay.
So I think that I can speak for myself and some of my friends. I think that we are increasingly becoming yeah, I got a very good response there. That it's important that media does not become Jakarta centric, that is the capital centric, metro centric. And this is precisely what I was going to say, that the huge number of people in media, they have become marginal. So the concerns of people in our districts, we say districts, I don't know how do you say it, counties perhaps. So outside the metros, there is a kind of media darkness. Okay, I mean, you don't really know what is going on there. And especially with communities of fishermen, I know that fishing is important, fishing or cultivation or other kinds of labor. You hardly know that what did they eat yesterday and what price does their produce fetch? And is it better than before or is it worse? And what are the kind of impacts that, say, the US tariff is having on their livelihood? But these are questions that are very central. And we are all concerned about the fact that our media is now owned and controlled so often by big money. And so it has become an urban elite space. And if you allow me to quote a little bit from Zohran Mamdani's victory speech, I think he spoke so eloquently when he spoke about these hands, no? The fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. And he said that these hands do not grasp politics anymore. And we know as journalists that they don't have any grasp on the media either. So this is something that you are concerned not only because of the social injustice, but as journalists, we are anxious that media is becoming irrelevant. Okay, for most, it is not touching the lives of most people, and it is not reflecting the true picture. So people are turning away from mainstream media. If Indian TV is actually losing viewers, which was unthinkable a decade ago. And the journalist is becoming disposable. So, and what we have today is the content creator. This is all happening because of our increasing alienation from the actual life that the mainstream life and mainstream media is becoming, distant. So this is why we feel that we have to engage locally. We have to go into the actual lives and livelihoods and situations of people who are there. But there is still a question. I am, rather than going into the methods of journalism, which all of your professionals, I know that you are already doing stories and your editors have told you how to do stories. So the question, I'm rather going into the more deeper reflective questions, ethical questions. So one of the things that I have often found when it comes to community engagement is that, is this what professional journalists should do? Okay, should they go into beyond stories, beyond writing stories, beyond reporting? Should they go and engage with the media consistently at a larger scale? Now, I for myself, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that don't we already have enough on our hands? Don't we already have pressure to, give the story by a certain deadline? And don't we have enough work pressure at home and at work? Why do then we have to go and commit ourselves beyond what is immediately needed? And that is actually what most journalists do. We go from story to story. We go from byline to byline. We do not we cover incidents rather than the events, the continuous events that lead up to a certain event that often stays beyond what we do. So I think that the way we can look at community engagement as journalists is that it is not really beyond what we do, but it is a kind of an extension. So what we have to get here is a kind of a loop. Okay, so what we of conversations and actions. So if you write a news report, the news report then creates a certain kinds of conversations, raises questions, create conversations, which lead to certain actions. This action might even, it need not be a protest on the streets. It can also be writing a letter or asking for information. Okay. And from that, again, you write a news report. So this continuous loop of conversation, action, coverage media coverage, and again conversation writing. That is what I would call a discourse. And a discourse is very necessary for anything, for any uh, problem at the grassroots to get forward and make a place in the agenda, whether it's the administrative agenda or it's the political agenda, often both. That you need to get those issues of whether it is of wage, whether it's of environment, whether it's of security, those if they are to rise to the point of political action, administrative policy, then you can only do it through a certain discourse. Okay, so the other way is something that we do not want, and that is sudden open violence. That is also something that shakes up government. But in democracies like Indonesia and India, we try not to go down that path. It's a slippery path, and it can do more harm than good. So, if we are to engage in a democratic way, then this continuous conversation is something. Now, there was a time when journalists looked at social organizations or political parties to make these conversations happen. They were the main initiators of conversation. Unfortunately, in India, particularly in these last few years, politics has become more polarized, and there are more boycotts than debates, even in our parliaments. So increasingly, we find that if journalists are to write meaningfully on the issues of livelihood, wage, environment, um, any kind of issue which gender justice, so all of that, transgender issues, all of these newer issues that are coming up, we often have to initiate and continue that discourse. Journalists have to play a role because there is no one else playing that role. This is something that I have found more and more. I don't know what the thing, even academics, I have found that even academics have moved to working on secondary data more than going out and collecting primary data. This is a trend that I see. So, who will be in touch with people and the way that they actually live their lives, the crisis that they face day to day? So it falls upon the local journalist not only to write but also to create the material, co-create the material on which she can write. So does up till here, would everybody agree with me, or if is there a disagreement, is there a question or a criticism? I would love to know.
Well, there is a response, Ms. Swati, from the participant here as regarding the local journalism. So Made talk about she is a local journalism based in Semarang, Central Java, is around is around 4 until 5 hours from capital city Jakarta, and local journalism is play very crucial role, especially in Indonesia. Most big media are based in Jakarta, so many regional issues often don't get enough attention at the national level. And that's why the local journalism is very important and gives space and voices to community outside the capital.
Very true, very true. And this often takes the form of separate media outlets. So you can have these digital news channels or community radio or small community newspapers. It's extremely important for diversity. But at the same time, we also have to ask the question, constantly challenge what we say, what we call quote unquote mainstream media. That why should that media also not create space for local issues? I mean, we have to fight at various levels. Now, at this point, I wish to address another question, which also I think is latent in everybody's mind, but we don't ask it so often, which is that, okay, as a local journalist, I may try to write on local issues, or I may even try to do a bit of activism, a bit more engagement, but will it make a difference? You know, I have heard many journalists who have turned bitter with time, and they say, okay, I've written and written, but nothing has changed. So I think that we also need, especially for young people who are considering, their next steps, their decision to do local journalism seriously, not just from a sense of okay, it's a good idea, it's we should do what is right, what is just, but we also need to convince ourselves that there is evidence that engaging media engagement with communities can actually give results, can actually bring about the change that we wish to see. And at that point, I would request the slides that I had sent you, if you can please display them. I promise not to bore you. It is just 4 or 5 slides. It's just some of the studies which you might find interesting and important to convince yourselves that media interventions have actually worked. And these are all for local people, for marginal, far-flung areas.
Sure, Ms. Swati. Are you going to open it, or maybe our team are going to open it?
I thought I had sent it to your team.
Okay.
So.
Okay, wait a second.
Just go to the second one, please. Yes. First, I would like to unpack a few concepts. We often use these words and sometimes we use them interchangeably. But these are things that we first have to, in our own minds, clear up a little bit. So, media discourse. So, a discourse is a conversation, but it is a kind of a sustained and organized conversation. So, any conversation is not a discourse. Okay, we should use the word discourse, keeping in mind that we are talking here about exchange of facts and opinions on a sustained basis and with certain ideas, a certain target in mind. Okay, so suppose you have a problem of school enrollment or staying in school, students are dropping out. So if our aim, our final target is that all students should stay in school till they finish school, then the discourse would be not just on why students are dropping out, but also the ways, the pedagogy, the curriculum, everything that is concerned with a student, creating a student's interest in school and creating incentives for staying in school for parents, and also disincentives for dropping out. All of that has to come together in a sustained conversation. Then that becomes a discourse. It should not aim focus, for example, just on scholarships and how much money is coming into scholarships and how much money is being distributed and who is getting and who is not. It's very typical of media to get bogged into one question, but discourse takes a more broader and comprehensive view of the question that is in hand. So that is, it is important not just to look at government projects, but also government efforts or government budget, but also to look at what choices the families are making. Why are they choosing to drop out? So those are some of the issues that should come into the discourse, and we as people who are initiating and shaping the discourse should be very careful that we are not just going for one story one time, but keeping up a sustained dialogue. The second is media advocacy, and this advocacy is a strategic use of mass media. to advance a certain policy. So there is a policy that is coming and you think it's harmful, you want government to reject it, or you think it's a good policy that the government is not taking up, you want to argue for it. So you are using media in very strategic ways, so that that particular outcome is achieved. So this is media. Media discourse is a larger thing. Media advocacy is a more sharp, targeted thing, and it needs very careful design. Media intervention. This is interesting, where you are actually creating content. You are putting in strategically certain reports to see if some changes can happen. We are going to see one or two examples. So there is a planning, a testing. It is like an experiment. Intervention is an experiment. And journalists, when they do it, they usually do it with academics or policymakers together with them. And lastly, media activism. When we are using media and communication technologies for political movements, once again, almost like media advocacy, but activism is can be more can be larger in its scope. It's not just about one policy or one particular outcome, but you may have a sustained. For example, if you say environment, so you want to stop pollution, you want more eco-friendly policies. For that, you would have made many of the environment journalists actually are almost activists. They are constantly arguing for better policies in media. So I will now look at some of the media intervention examples where using media has worked. So the next slide, please. The next one, please. Yeah. So this is an example that was done in India. Abhijit Banerjee was the leading researcher here. So, we have this legislative assemblies, and the members of legislative assemblies were the MLAs. So it is all, I don't know how it is in Indonesia, but in India, it is usually thought that the person who has more money and more influence and can give out more free gifts, they sort of can buy the vote, especially from the poor. So here the idea was that if we give information to people about your MLA, your representative's performance, will people vote differently? So what they did was they tied up with the Hindustan Times paper, which has a very good circulation in Delhi. And in 200 slums, they distributed the paper free with a sort of report card of the MLA, which says, among other things, how many days he actually attended the legislature, what are the questions that he raised, what is the state of his finances, whether there has been any corruption charges against him. That sort of a report card was inserted. And no such interventions were made in 500 slums. So no paper was distributed. And the result was that, in fact, in these 200 slums which received information, they turned out in greater numbers on the voting day, and they actually punished poorer performance, and they rewarded better performance. Now, Abhijit Banerjee, as you know, is a Nobel-winning economist, so their methods are very clear, very, very sharp. So if you see that just by giving a little bit of information in newspapers, you can do something as important and as difficult as changing people's voting behavior. And this is one study which we all have noted with great enthusiasm. The next one, please. We have, in fact, this has in fact started a trend that before elections now, almost all papers try to put out some kind of a report card on the performance of the candidates. Now, this one is even more impressive. The problem in Uganda in mid-1990s is that the central government was releasing school funds. But the local authorities, the schools didn't know much about it. The schools did not know how much fund has been allocated for which school and what. The fund came to the local authorities and they just did whatever they wanted with the funds, and the schools got very little. And of course, the farther you are from the main capital city, the less you get. So the intervention was very simple. They just got the funding list, which school has been allotted how much money, and they printed it on the newspaper. Okay, so the next slide, please. The result was astonishing. That funds started reaching schools, it increased from 24% to 80%. And there was a very clear correlation between areas which have better access to newspapers, they received more grants. Because you see, the heads of the schools have started writing to people saying that this is the grant, was supposed to come to me, but I haven't actually received it. So if you have better access to newspaper, it was clearly translating into better access to funds. And of course, because the schools were better funded, there was significant increase in enrollment and also in test scores. So you can see that an information campaign can actually bring out a lot of change in administration and in education. So the next slide, please. Now, this is not an intervention study. This is more like a study looking back on whether media has brought, what the real scenario, that whether greater access to news can bring about better government response in crisis situations. So Besley and Burgess, this is a very famous study. This was actually based on what Amartya Sen, the Nobel-winning economist, had said, that you cannot have, that democracies do not have famine. Okay, because in democracy you have free media, and so people's starvation, their awful state, their pathetic state is reflected, and so pressure is created on the government to respond. That was his Amartya Sen's statement, assumption. That was his conclusion. So these two researchers, they wanted to actually test it. They wanted to see that if that is actually correct. So they went and took a very large timeline, 58 to 92, when they studied newspaper circulation data. Of course, you see that television news came in India only in mid-90s, cable news. So this was before that. So they just started looking at the circulation figures of newspapers. And they wanted to see that in times of drought and flood, which are very common in India. So every year, certain areas would have floods and certain areas would have droughts. So they started to see that whether areas which have better access to newspaper get better flood relief and better drought relief. And they found a very clear positive correlation. So higher is the newspaper circulation per capita, you can see that more food has been given out in public distribution system. So this is the kind of evidence that we have that in trying to do trying to bring about certain kind of changes through media intervention, or just by giving greater access to media, get a coverage to local people's issues, such as whether they're getting relief in time of flood, can actually work, can actually make a difference. I think we got a question there, a question or a comment there. Can I have it?
Yes, Miss Swati. So we are opening the question and answer session. So we are going to open 3 questions that are going to ask to you. But first of all, I'm going to read the question from Arif Berita Jateng. How do local media outlet in India manage to sustain themselves? Is it mainly because each state has such a large and distinct market?
Yeah, by local media, if you mean, I mean, digital media, it is very difficult. Let me tell you, independent media, rather than local, I would say independent media. So, local media, if you are willing to go along with what your local leaders and the administration, you might get some ads from local governments and local businesses, and it might not be too difficult for you. You won't be able to expand much, and you won't be able to criticize the government much, but you will sustain. But if you are truly independent media, in which that you actually critic the kind of critic that we were saying just now, that you actually say that students are not in school, schools are not receiving funds, people are not receiving flood relief, that money is being siphoned off. If you actually make those comments, then you are in for a very hard time. A lot of independent media, some are very good, some are actually not even very small, some are quite big. But they are, the way it was happening so far is that they were getting access to trust funds. There would be big independent trusts who would support them. But increasingly, our government has also, getting the trust funds are difficult because getting money from other countries has also become increasingly difficult. So they are struggling. And it is, I think, more the crowdfunding is a big source. And other than that, everybody is struggling for survival. Local journalism has not, I don't know anybody who has been made rich by local journalism.
Thank you so much, Miss Swati, for your answer. And this is the second question regarding the local journalism as well. How can local journalists play an active role in building community engagement without compromising the objectivity of their reporting?
Yes, this is a very important question, and this is actually an ethical dilemma, which every journalist has to face, because the problem is when you become a stakeholder. So if the community has a certain target, so they want a dam or they want a market or something, and you become a stakeholder to it as a journalist, then if the journalist finds that she is shaping her report or channeling her reports in such a way that it leads towards a particular outcome, and because she has that particular outcome in mind, she is going only to certain sources, leaving out other sources, and then maybe keeping silent over in certain cases, then that becomes a problem with her journalism. Okay. Now, at this point, I should mention that when we say local journalism, because we are all journalists here, we are thinking of the journalist who is going to a local area and doing stories. But remember that NGOs who are working in an area can also do journalism, uh, engage with them, I mean, create media content at least. And they can also use journalism to bring about the kind of changes that they want, whether a policy change or even attitude change, behavior change in the community. So you want less consumption of liquor. Okay, you can use the media for that also. And especially with social media now, that kind of engagement has become very, very rampant. So for them, it is not a problem. For them to do journalism that is targeted towards a certain end is not a problem, because they were founded, that organization was founded to do anti-liquor work or pro-environment work, whatever it is that they were doing. But for a journalist, it is important. A journalist also has to quote the liquor seller and the liquor business and see what is their point of view. Why are they doing what they are doing? Even if the journalist doesn't support it, she has to do it. That is her job. So it is very important to stay, to make those boundaries clear in your mind. It is, I would always suggest that you should discuss with your journalist friends, with your senior friends, how you should go about it. So, where journalists can play a role, as I have said, is in discourse building, where you create platform where everyone can come and talk. And those who are usually out of our reach, those who we can't access, as a journalist, we can use our influence to get them to talk to people. Okay, but we can facilitate the conversations. But when we write our stories, we have to write independently, strongly, uh, uh, without any particular bias towards anybody. And that is a tough task. Sometimes people will feel that you are letting them down, that you are not speaking strongly enough for them. But you have to withstand that pressure and still write what is a good copy. Because as a journalist, your ultimate, even if you are engaging with your community, your ultimate commitment is to the reader.
Thank you so much, Miss Swati. This is other question from Ira Guslina from Katadata. In Indonesia, there has been a growing trend of partnership between the government and local or regional media outlets. According to a survey by the Information Commission, which collaboration have become one of the way for local media to sustain themselves financially. How is the situation in India? Are there similar partnership between the government and local media? And if so, how do they impact editorial independence and news reporting?
There is no such partnership, at least not formally. In the districts, it is quite, it is not unusual for political leaders to try and influence with gifts or with such things. They might actually also sponsor uh, papers, smaller channels, or they might, even if they don't give money, many channels or papers might find it very difficult to keep up their work without, if a certain powerful person becomes very vitiated towards them. So these pressures are immense, and there is no particular way out. You have to struggle and survive, and you have to build your credibility with your readers, actually, to be able to, your readers and your viewers, to be able to survive. Being
Thank
an
you.
independent, I was actually looking up RSF, the Reporters Without Sans Frontiers figures, and Indonesia in press freedom, I think, is 111, like 111th. India is 159th. So you know that we are having a worse time than you are. But we are both ranked partly free. So we are democracies, but the media here in our countries are partly free. And local journalism, of course, is
Okay,
in
thank you.
many parts more more vulnerable.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Swati. And this is the last question from Adedinda. Many regional newspaper across Asia are trying to stay relevant in the digital era. How does Anandabazar Patrika adapt to these changes while keeping its strong connection with local readers?
Which era, sorry?
Digital.
A digital era.
Yeah.
We do have a digital outlet now, and our subscription, with our subscription, people can look at the e-paper, which is the exact version of. I think New York Times showed the way, and most papers in the recent years have. Followed that thing. So we have a lot of digital content and we have a lot of local content. Everybody is now reading newspapers on their mobiles. So we have also gone that way, and so far as I understand, it has worked. I mean, people are not people. I mean, our readers have taken on to the digital edition quite well. So that is not a problem.
Yes, yeah, that's how we keep up to the digitalization in this era. So thank you so much, Miss Swati, for your question and answer, and also your presentation regarding this topic, local journalism and community engagement. This is very interesting and it's very engaging to our topic, especially for our topic. Thank you so much for your time. And in this session, we are going to move to the second session, which is dari Ibu Elin. Apabila Ibu Elin lebih nyaman untuk menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, itu diperbolehkan, dan juga apabila menggunakan bahasa Inggris dipersilakan. Mungkin sebelumnya saya izin untuk membacakan sedikit brief introduction Ibu dari Ibu Elin Yunita Kristanti. Ibu Elin Yunita Kristanti merupakan jurnalis, pelatih, dan pemeriksa fakta lebih dari 19 tahun pengalaman di dunia media digital. Saat ini, Ibu menjabat sebagai Direktur Eksekutif Asosiasi Media Cyber Indonesia, organisasi yang berperan penting dalam memperkuat ekosistem jurnalisme digital di Indonesia. Sebelumnya, Ibu Elin memimpin liputan6.com sebagai pemimpin redaksi, di mana beliau mengarahkan kebijakan redaksional, mendorong inovasi konten, serta memperluas jaringan kolaborasi dengan pemerintah, sektor swasta, dan lembaga internasional. Ibu Elin juga dikenal atas kepemimpinannya dalam inisiatif literasi media dan pemeriksaan fakta sebagai Project Manager program cek fakta di liputan6.com. Beliau memimpin produksi konten verifikasi, mengembangkan kerjasama dengan International Fact Checking Network dan Meta, serta memperkuat kampanye literasi digital di berbagai daerah di Indonesia. Di bawah arahannya, liputan6.com memperoleh 3 hibah IFCN 2020 hingga 2022 dan penghargaan Global Fact 10 2023 untuk kategori The Most Creative Content. Baik Ibu Elin, kepada Ibu Elin waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Oke, terima kasih sekali. Thank you so much for the opportunity for me. On behalf of AMSI, I will share about our efforts to promote the local media and also local journalism. And I will share my slide presentation. Please, Mas Java, would you like to help me to share it?
Sure.
Yep.
My team will accommodate that.
Well, I'm presenting my presentation. Please feel free to jump in to make a comment or to deliver your question if there's any
Sure.
in the chat column.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Bu Elin.
Okay, so it's such an honor to me to present the local journalism and community engagement on behalf of AMSI, and I will focus on how the local journalism and also local media connecting people, stories, and also change. Oh, this is a wayang kulit in Indonesia, or shadow puppet in English. It's actually it is considered as a traditional puppet, but actually it's more global than we think, because the wayang kulit or shadow puppet is influenced by Indian culture. So you can find that the puppet, theatrical puppet, shadow puppet, mostly using like the Mahabharat or Ramayana stories in their show. So next slide, please. Okay, please allow me to introduce AMSI, or in the Indonesian Cyber Media Association. AMSI is a national organization established in 2017, and we have 505 online media companies as our members in 28 regions in Indonesia. AMSI function as a platform or as an organization. We dedicate to upholding journalistic ethic in the digital age, and also helping to promote and also to scale up the local media, because the disruptions happened after digital disruption. So we will have like an AI, and then we try to mitigate the change, and also fostering collaboration between media outlets, technology platform, and also stakeholder. And we also want to promoting media literacy and cultivating public trust in journalism, because as you say, Mr. Swati, public trust is very important for us, the media, and then also for journalism itself. Next slide, please. I think next. One slide before. Okay, the challenge of local media in Indonesia. Sorry, I think. Please to the slide 3. Slide 3. Before one before this. This is yes. Why local journalism matter in Indonesia context? Because diversity needs representation. Indonesia is consists of 1,700 islands, and it is very large, and it is archipelagos. So from Aceh to Papua, people live different lives. They speak different languages and face unique challenges. So local journalism makes sure those voices aren't lost in the noise of Jakarta headline. And the second one is democracy begins locally. In Indonesia, democracy is not something that should have taken for granted. So the democracy, we get the democracy after, especially after the Reformation, after 1998. So it's very important for us to maintain the democracy and to make sure that the democratic situation in Indonesia is still thriving. So democracy begins locally. Democracy isn't only about what happens in the capital, it is about what happens in the village, hall, the market, fishing port, like Mr. Swati said before. And local reporters keep those in power accountable when it matters most. And there is no local issue, because local issues are global issues. Deforestation, corruption, inequality often start locally but ripple across border. Local stories shape global understanding. And while local journalism in Indonesia is also against digital noise because algorithms amplify viral content not relevant. Local media provide trusted contextual information that serve real people. And empowering citizens, when people see their life reflected in news, the move from being an audience to active citizen. And also local journalism, it is a guardian of culture and truth because local journalism preserves language, wisdom, accountability, and it keeps democracy honest and identity alive. Um, I will, even though AMSI members mostly is a local media, but I will like present to you like more about local journalism, or in bahasa melokal. You are not you don't have to be in the region or in a certain city to do the local journalism. So this is more about the angle that we, or more about the subject or the issue that we choose, uh, than where we are. I mean, like you can be in Jakarta, but you can also, as a journalist, um, make an article or content related to local issues. Next. Okay. Please allow me to share to you the three, I mean, it's like a very interesting story about three of our members from Suara Surabaya, from Trijaya, and also Planet Plate. In Suara Surabaya, you can see Surabaya is a local radio in Surabaya. Surabaya is a city is in West East Java, and it is established on June 1983. Radio Surabaya, or Radio SS, has served as informative and interactive broadcasting medium in East Java. They don't only produce content, they don't only produce podcasts, but with the slogan News Interactive and Solutions, it goes beyond more information delivery. It connects the community with solutions for various social issues. It's very interesting story when people in Surabaya area or surrounding Surabaya, they lost their car, for example, they don't report it to the police. They choose to report it to the radio, the Suara Surabaya. And believe it or not, it works. So some of the cases when people reporting their lost vehicle or something like that, and then they create like a connection between the podcaster, but and also the listeners, and they create something like a activity to help to find the car that lost or anything, or there if there's any issues, they also try to connect the listener to the police or the government. And when in Java or Indonesia, there's a kerja bakti. Kerja bakti is something is we work together to clean up our environment, or we clean up our city, something like that. But after COVID-19 happens, the pandemics, it is stopped. The kerja bakti stopped, and then Surabaya, they try to like have a collaborate with the government and like revive the kerja bakti as the working together, citizen they work together. So the Suara Surabaya on the radio is not only create the content, but they also can make a movement. And the second one, we see like Trijaya. It's very interesting story from Trijaya FM, the radio. One day when two podcaster or they have like a podcast in the radio, one of the listener in the column in the chat column and in their WhatsApp group, sorry, in their WhatsApp, they the listener said that he want to end his life. And then what happened next? The podcaster and also the listeners, they work together to stop the suicide the suicide attempt from one of their listeners. So it works all as well. And then the listener try to locate the man's home, and they call the police, they call the security, and make sure his safety, and it works. So they canceled one of the suicide attempt from one of their listeners. The third one is also very interactive from a KBR. KBR is a radio. It's very progressive radio. They try to increase people's awareness on the uh, climate crisis, and then by promoting the preservation of local food and diversity. So in Indonesia, in our past, in the new order, uh, before that, all Indonesian, different region, different islands, we have our staple food. Like in Java, they ate rice as a staple food, but in other cities or other region, they ate like a cassava or uh, sagu for their staple food. But after the Order Baru or New Order policy, all of Indonesian had to eat rice until now. So KBR Media try to uh, increase the awareness of the preservation of local food diversity, and make the connection with the climate crisis issues. The next one, please. The next one, yes. Okay. So this is our new effort to create, to add the local voice to our media or our social media. So AMSI partnered with Tempo and Midan. We want to enhance climate change reporting, but in a certain point of view. So we collaborated with some of the indigenous journalists and to create articles to raise their voice and to raise also their problem related to climate change. So you can see one of the Kabar Banyuwangi, and then also for Celebes and Potok Maluku. So it there were 15 media company that involved and participated in this effort, and we already published 45 articles related to the issues. So we have like a Bincang Perempuan. Bincang Perempuan is one of the small media company in Bengkulu, and in collaboration with the indigenous journalists, they publish content related to the effort of the indigenous women in Sarawai to keep the pengaling. And also in some of the articles, they want to share about the problems faced by the indigenous community in related to water issues, and also about the mining and the negative impact of mining industries. We can see the right one, the Jubi. Jubi is created an article related to Danau Sentani or Sentani Lake, which is actually a very important lake for the indigenous people in Papua, but also that returned by the gold mining, and and it impacted to the people's life there. And it's very interesting here that I want to see in Jubi. So far, I checked to how many views for their article. It is still okay. More than 1,000 paid views. But can you see in the number in Jubi a screenshot? There's zero shares. What's going on? Why people didn't want to share that kind of interest, that kind of issues? I mean, that's not also happen in Jubi. Or Jubi is a local media in Papua, but it's also happened in mainstream media in Indonesia when we are struggling to get views or to get page views or we are sure to distribute our quality content. I call it quality content because it is a very good written. Those of all are very good written articles, and they want to share what's going on in the local area. It's very with a very it's very important issue for them, people over there, but no one wanted to share that. What's going on? But it's happened not only in local media, but also in mainstream media when we are struggling to get people attention on articles or issues that's essential for people. I mean, people want to, and this digital era, people want to uh, access or want to read or want to watch uh, content that they like, but sometimes they miss to access or to write or to watch the content that basically very important for them. Next article, next slide, please. Okay, so I think it's similar happened in Indonesia, in India, when the local media or local or independent media, they have a lot of challenges. The first one is limited resources but big responsibilities. So we know exactly that a local newsroom or the mainstream media that try to rise or to local issues, sometimes we don't have a budget and team in terms of people to do that. But you know, local media in Indonesia, they report, they have they reporting and cover very vast region, sometimes not easy to access area, and verify fact and keep communities informed, but they don't have any resources to do that. So the second one is something that Ms. Swati already shared, because like it's very challenging for local media or independent media to get the revenue or to get the fund to do their reporting. So yes, most advertising money goes to the national outlets or big media company in Jakarta. So local media, especially in smaller town, when it's hard to survive because local business can afford to advertise. And recently, when government decided to cut the budget for the regional government, it is also a big blow to media company because they don't have any advertisement from the local government, and it's very difficult for them to stay survive. And this one is the third challenge just is platform dependence and algorithm pressure. If you open up some of Indonesian outlets website, and you will find very what is it, like a similarity. It's a very big similarities between one to another. Even when we compare the content of the mainstream media and the local media, it's still it's still a very big similarities between them. So why it has happened in Indonesia? Because after the digital disruption, the media company, big or small, the national level or local level, they are dependent to the big platform especially, to deliver their content and also to get revenue from programmatic. So instead of the journalist created the content that it is very important for people to read or to access, they chose to like not it is actually not their choices, yeah, because management of the media asks them to focus more on creating article based on trends or what's trending in Google in particular. And the fourth challenge is the weak digital infrastructure and skill gap. So Indonesia is a very Indonesia is archipelago, and not every region, every city they have a big good internet provider, internet access. So outside major cities, the internet access. Sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. And sorry, it's very what is it? I cannot call it bad, but not as good as the big cities. And newsroom technology are very limited. Many newsroom they don't have even IT team. They just consist of journalists. Some of the media they only have like 4 or 5 people to do all of the things. So many journalists haven't received training in data journalism, multimedia storytelling, or online security, and not every newsroom or media company they have a capability to find the business model or to get the revenue outside the programmatic or advertisement from the government. So still need a lot of things that we have to provide to the for the media, especially related to the access of the internet and also the knowledge about how to maintain the IT or maintain the IT things in their newsroom. So this is the next challenge is a threat to press freedom and safety. In Jakarta, we not many, not every. Some people is like in Jakarta. I think journalists in Jakarta relatively safer than the journalists in the local area. And local journalists often face intimidation from authorities, business elite, or political actors without strong legal or institution protection may work under fear of self-censorship. And the violence against a journalist, I think Indonesia mostly happen in local local media or local area. So it's very big challenges for us as well. And that the challenge is eroding public trust and news fatigue. So social media, a lot of misinformation spreading social media, and it is overload, make audience skeptical and tired. And I think that trust is our biggest challenge, because when we don't, when we more focus on algorithm, we neglecting our original audience, which is people, which is our real audience. So, and to earn back trust, local media and also general media must be transparent, listen to the communities, and produce stories that truly matter for our audience. And please always remember that our real audience is people. Our real audience is the public, not algorithm or the Google Trends. And this is the last question related to this. The last question for Ms. Swami related to this, the lack of collaboration and shared support. So many local outlets, yes, exactly, that they indeed work in isolation with little access to network, mentorship, or shared data. That's why we are in AMSI try to help and try to provide collaboration and also training to the local media to our members for particular. The next, please. Okay, in 2025 we have a survey in collaboration with Monash University. We try to understand the revenue comes to the revenue for the news media, the source of revenue of news media. So the survey is not only for the local media but also the big media. And we can see in the chart, the government institution or conventional advertisement like a display or like a display is is the majority of media's revenue, and government institutions are the top advertiser across all the media categories, especially in medium large outlets. In large media, there is a smallest percentage, but still from the government and also from the state-owned enterprises or BUMN. And the survey results also show us how traditional advertising, which remains the primary revenue source across all the media categories, peaks during 5 key events: election, regional election, religious holiday, national holiday celebration, and institutional anniversaries. And you can see on the chart, the Google AdSense of programmatic is still top three revenue to the news media companies, and it's very fragile situation for the media when they are they dependent to the government or BUMN, state-owned enterprises advertisement, and also from Google AdSense. So it is very important to us, the media, because AMSI is a association of the media company, for the media to find the new revenue stream or business models to make sure that we are survive and make sure that we are not so dependent to the government and also to the big platform. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So when it comes to how to find the business model on a new revenue stream for the media company, big media or small media, there are a lot of challenges some of the media face to do that. The first one is a limited pool of human resources. I want to share to you in India how challenging, how challenge, how hard the situation for us in Indonesia. When we lost our readership, we lost our revenue to big platforms, and then when the government decided to cut the budget, it's very for us. It's very very challenging. And some of the media company, they choose to downsize their newsroom, and some of the journalists and media people or media workers they have been laid off. So according to our press council, in 2014 and 2020 to 2024, there were 1,200 journalists have been laid off. And then I believe in this year only, in 2025, the number will be, the number will much bigger than the previous 2 years. So some of the media companies, they face a limited human resources to create good quality journalism. They don't have so many resources to do like a local journalism. So it's a very, very challenging situation for us, because without revenue, there's no media. And we know exactly that to do reporting, it is not free. We need a budget to do that. And the second challenge is insufficient expertise. Not all of the local media Indonesia or independent media in Indonesia, they have access to participate in some training. That's why AMSI try to provide the training and to our members and also for the local media in Indonesia. And the third challenge is networking constraint with client. Not only like it is almost impossible for local media to have like a relation with like a funding or to some international organization to do the revenue or to do the grant or budget for their report. But some of the local media or independent media, they even don't have any networking or channel to communicate with the government in Jakarta. Next, please. Okay, this is 2025 Reuters Digital News Report. Level trust in Indonesia, trust in news overall Indonesia is 36%, or increase 1 point from the previous one. And it's very sad for me to know this because when the public say that some of the sources of mis or disinformation come to the news media and journalists. 32% of the participants in the survey in 2025 Reuters Digital News Report, they said that news media and journalists is one of the sources of major misinformation or disinformation. And it's very sad situation for us, the journalists, because we do believe that one of our obligation, one of our work is to provide the fact to the public, not misinformation or disinformation. And Indonesia, I think it's very challenging for Indonesia because, like when the digital media flourished some years ago, we provide the news or the content to the public for free. And then majority Indonesian people, they don't want to pay to get the news, because at that time we believe that the revenue for advertisement can provide funding for us to do our report or something like that. But in this situation, it is not longer happened. We lost. I think we lost most of our revenue from advertisement because we lost the competition with the big platform, and also we lost our readership and our engagement because we are focusing more on page views and plays other than to provide the information that people needed. And in Indonesia, when it is asked to the respondent, how many people want to pay for online news? Only 18% they want to pay for that. So the rest of that, the majority of respondents, they don't want to pay for the news. Next, please. And because it is a cross-border discussion event, so I want to share for you. I think our goal to save local journalism is not only can be done by one countries. It is need cross borders collaboration, global collaboration. So India and Indonesia, we considered part of the global South. Yeah, And so I think it is the time for us to proving that journalism can be strong, ethical, and community driven without copying Western model. I think local journalism is something that we have to promote and we have to increase to make sure that not only others, the voices from some of the majority or dominant region is here in news media and also in social media, but we need more local, more local reports, more content from the local media. And then Indonesia and also India and all of the global South countries, I think we've shared problems and also shared strength. And, as Ms. Wami said that local media in India, Indonesia, and also global South countries, we face the same challenges. Disinformation. We don't have money to create the good quality journalism. Pressure from the government, especially for the local media, when local government is very put very high pressure for them, and sometimes they will warn the media that they will stop the advertisement if the media keep running in certain issues. But it is also the time for us to collaborate together, to share strengths, to share the knowledge, and to share our experience. And this is also we are still in the digital disruption, and AI coming, and I think it's also very important for us to collaborate together to face any challenges in terms of the technology development. And I think instead of okay, we don't want to use AI, we don't want to use some platform, something like that. We cannot deny the development of the technology. So I think it is also the chance for us to make the technology to amplify the local voices, and instead of silencing them. So I think for AMSI, it is very, we create and we plan to do some the training to make sure that the local media and also general media, they can mitigate in this AI era. And global stories start local. Strong journalism begin with local truth that speak to universal issues, climate justice, and human rights. And I think it is not impossible for us to create like a cross-border collaboration between media company or local media company in Indonesia and also in India to be able to make a like cross-border collaboration reporting on certain issue that it is already like it's happened in any countries. It's like a climate or human rights or like a women issue, something like that. And India and Indonesia, we also share the problems when people in the coastal area, they are very impacted by the climate change and nobody realized about that. I think we can do some reporting between one particular region in Indonesia and also in India, what's going on between two of them, and then we share the knowledge and we share the solution that maybe people have over there, and then we can make the local issues as and we try to we create reporting about local issues to find a solution for the global issues. So we create some local reporting to solve one of the global issue, for example, the climate change issues. And then, and the last one is journalism as shared public good. I want to share to you what AMSI and also some of the media association Indonesia do at this time. we try to have like a campaign to promote good journalism. We try to make we try to campaign about no tax for knowledge, because in Indonesia we're losing revenue from the government, but the media companies in Indonesia, we still have to pay taxes, and it's very big, and it's very it is burden for the media. And in this situation, it is very I think if there is no interference, there is no like when the government stay to put the tax obligation for the media, I think some of the media will be collapsed. And so it is our effort to ask for the government to consider media as a public good, because we are creating the content to the public. That's why, but we cannot do the reporting, or you cannot make a good journalism without any money. And also, we try to collaborate together, not only with the Media Association Indonesia, but also some of international agencies, to make sure that that there is like a what is it? Bargaining. Media have a bargaining with the AI platform, because when the platform AI, they want to they take our content to what is it, to their AI platform without any compensations, or something like that. So we want to make sure that we don't like create the problem when we don't have. It's very late for us to in the digital disruption. So I think we need to collaborate together, and global south, also globalization, to make sure that the media still survive in this era of AI. The next one, please. The next one, please. Okay, so this one is my last slide of my presentation. It is percaya journalisme is trust to journalism, and it is one of our campaign because trust issue is very challenging for us. How we make the public trusting journalism is something that we have to do some campaign to do that. So this is one of our campaign, and this is also the last of our presentation. So thank you so much. Please put your comment or put your question in the chat form, in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bu Elin, for your presentation, for to emphasize the importance of the local journalism, especially here in Indonesia. It's really crucial because it ensures voices from the west to east, from Aceh to Papua are not lost, maintaining the accountability at the local level and act as a guardian of culture and truth. So I would like to encourage to all the participants, but for this session we are going to open 3 until 5 question. I think we have several question here in chat room that I would like to read it out. So this is the first question from Nikmatul Faiza Solopo.
Dapat ini gede. Nah, tinggal menjahit ya.
I'm sorry for it. So this is Nikmatul Faiza from Solopos. The biggest competition for local media is social media information. Social media is often has no filter and lacks of confirmation. And mostly citizens prefer information on social media that sometimes steal from the mainstream media rather than opening directly into the website or newspaper. How do we as a local media and journalists address it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for Nikmatul from Solopos. Solopos is one of the leading local media in Central Java. Yes, we compete with not only with other media companies, but also with influencers and social media. And it is harsh competition because, in the platform, like a Google or YouTube, there is no like a special, what is it, like a, they don't, they treat all of the content same as long as the engagement is good. So it is they will do like a lot of plays or a lot of page views, and there is no like a differentiation between the journalism and non-journalism. And that's why um, social media or influencers, they get the money and then media don't have the money. But it's very important for us all to create the same playing field or fair playing field, or the same policy between the media and also non-media. Because like in Indonesia, media have to, we have obligation to stay on the code ethic of journalism. We cannot uh, we cannot publish article or content without any verification. We cannot accuse of someone in our media or social media on social media about someone without giving a room for them to make a clarification or something like that. So it's not the playing field between the media company, media Indonesia, media news media, social media, influencer, and also global platform. We don't have any playing field, the fair playing field. So that's why we try to do that. And then also, I think it is the time for us as journalists to make journalism not only special for journalists. It is a time for us to make journalism as a value. So that's why we in AMSI or some of the media, we do the education and media digital training or digital literacy to all of the people. So that people, the social media user, when they use their content, when they use their account, they don't produce hoax, they don't produce misinformation, they don't produce disinformation. So journalism as a value is something that they have to consider when they want to publish something, whether it is check or not, verify or not, or something like that. That's why. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bu Elin, for the answer. We have the second answer from Febrianto from Investor Trust. Does the existence of homeless media also pose a challenge for local media? In the current digital era, there are many homeless media in each region. How can the traditional local media survive?
It's very interesting question. Thank you so much from Investor Trust. Yes, we compete with the homeless media or the new media. But as I said before, I think it is time for us uh, to think that journalism as a value, not special from journalists. That's why uh, I think some weeks ago from MC, we have a discussion with the some of the homeless media in the new media forum. They have like a new media forum for some of the homeless media. So we tried to discuss to them on how to make sure that they don't create like a misinformation or hoax in their platform or in social media. But we also can learn from them how to make content, especially social media content, that is more interesting for public, for audience. And we also can like do the collaboration with them, how to disseminate our content. Like when one of the newsroom media, they create content, and then they and the new media will help to disseminate them to the public with the more engaged video or something like that. I think it's very doable. And instead of see them as our competitors, why we don't see them as uh, ally? And then I think it's yeah, we can learn a lot of from them, and we can also do a lot of do the like sharing our content to them, and in terms of revenue, instead of making them our big competition, why not we collaborate to them to do some effort or some content, and we together we create the revenue from our content. So I think collaboration is the key, not competition. So I think in this digital disruption era and also AI era, we need the collaboration to make sure that our information ecosystem is integrity. I mean, good and provide the factual and verified information for the public. So it is our obligation not only for the journalists but also for I think everyone in Indonesia to maintain our information ecosystem in a very pristine situation. Okay.
Thank you, Bu Elin. We have the other question. So this is based on your presentation before that you state about the advertisers for the newsroom. So since the government institution one of the top advertiser, how do we ensure the editorial independence of its local member media from pressure by government or state-owned enterprises or BUMN, allowing them to maintain their accountability function as stressed in the presentation?
It's very hard to answer actually, because when I was in the media, the pressure was exist, and then um, it is not uncommon for me, for the newsroom, when for the newsroom people to you know to get to got we someone telephone us in the middle of the night and want us to like please take down the article, please change the headline, please don't say like this, and you have to like take down something, and it is uncommon at this time. That's why it is not only from the government or from security institution, but also from the state-owned BUMN enterprises, state-owned enterprises, and also from other industry. And that's why we need, it is very important or urgent for us to find new revenue stream. I can share what the Solo Post effort to do that. They have their own cafe, and they use some of the profits from the cafe to fund their newsroom, which is very good. And we also heard from some of our media people that some of the media, they have like a new business model as a EO, EO for the event, or they have like a they allow, or they have like to be like a have like some collaboration with the platform, online shopping platform, and then they get some revenue for that. So yeah, it is very hard to answer actually how we can independent, especially from the government, or not the government, but yeah, not the government or some of the interest. But yeah, I think it's very important for us to find a new business model, to find new revenue stream. That's why I think when if AI platforms can share or can like they can pay us for our content, I think it's some one of the revenue stream that we can pursue. Yes.
Thank you, Bu Elin, for the for your answer. Probably this is going to be the last question for this session. So, for the young journalists, what is the most important skills that we need to have in this era, especially if we brought the local journalists?
Of course, young journalists, they have to multitasking. They have to have a lot of skills, like not only writing the good articles, but also they have to be able to produce the video, become a presenter, become of anything. But I want to ask you all two things. First, when you are a journalist in the field, please enlarge your networking. It is very important. In this era of AI, AI can do anything that we can do. AI can create article, AI can create video, AI can create anything that we can do, but AI cannot make a networking. So please, networking is something that I think it's we need to have that, the good networking. The second one is, don't ever forget that our audience, our real audience is people, is the public, is the people. So instead of we are focusing more and more to create something that SEO wants, because SEO is machine, and machine is algorithm is biased, algorithm is not natural. But I think it is time for us to focus more on to our real audience, the people. So make the story that relevant for the people. Make story that can capture their voices. And I think it is the way for us to get the trust from the people, because we lost it. We lost it because we are more focusing on pleasing the algorithm that the people. So I think it is a perfect time for us to create the good journalism for our new real audience and make impact, good impact from our content or our reporting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bu Elin, for the insight, and thank you so much for the tips that you gave us as a young journalist to keep up our skill and to keep up our potential to be the good journalist in the future. Thank you so much for the discussion here, and I would like to say thank you so much, and before we end this meeting, I'm going to give to Pak Sachin to say a word for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dafa. And I must say that was fascinating. This was a fantastic session, and both our expert speakers today did a fantastic job. And I think we're getting a lot of feedback also from everyone that, this has been a very exciting and insightful session. So I would like to thank both our expert mentors who have joined today for their time, their participation, the enthusiasm, and the preparation that they have done for making a fantastic session. Thank you very much, and I look forward to all of you participating in the next session. Thank you very much.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Sachin atas yang telah diberikan, dan dikarenakan ini merupakan sesi terakhir dari Voices of Tomorrow, jadi kami dari tim India News Desk ingin mengingatkan teman-teman bahwa pengumpulan karya untuk perlombaan akan segera dibuka dengan jumlah pemenang yang telah disesuaikan, yaitu sebanyak 10 peserta terbaik akan diberangkatkan ke India, dan juga 10 peserta terpilih akan mendapatkan hadiah dari Indian News Desk, sehingga akan terdapat 20 finalis terbaik. Sesuai dengan term of reference yang telah dijelaskan di awal dari Voices of Tomorrow, peserta yang berhak mengikuti perlombaan yaitu peserta yang memiliki tingkat kehadiran minimal 80% dan telah menyelesaikan seluruh tugas sebelumnya. Setiap peserta juga wajib untuk mengumpulkan tugas, baik dari karya yang sudah pernah dikerjakan maupun karya baru dengan tema hubungan bilateral antara India dan juga Indonesia. Untuk informasi lebih jelasnya terkait dengan deadline, kemudian terkait dengan link pengumpulan akan diberikan melalui grup WhatsApp. Mungkin terima kasih juga Ibu Elin telah hadir dan juga telah menyempatkan untuk mengisi materi pada workshop hari ini, dan juga terima kasih kepada seluruh partisipan yang telah setia untuk mengikuti kegiatan Voices of Tomorrow dari awal hingga pertemuan ke-10 ini. Saya Muhammad Dafan Fauzi Hakim sebagai moderator memohon maaf apabila terdapat kesalahan dan juga terdapat kesulitan yang dirasakan kepada teman-teman peserta. Mungkin terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi dan selamat happy weekend. Thank you.